Kellier, but Lyle Schofield has beaten him to turn 1, and down the inside, the Porsche of Jules Donchieu has managed to, well, I was going to say make the move, but no. Straight back down the inside goes Pierre Arau, trying to make it back up the inside there in the R8. No such move this time round. And the Ginetta of Francois Denis next up behind, waiting again in the wings just to see what happens in these opening laps. The Audi is the Evo version of the GT4 car. A lot of the Porsche, the Ginetta, they're all GT4 specification cars. So they're all of very similar performance. There's balance of performances and all sorts that keeps them similar in terms of potency. But the Midjet car at the back is a Super T, so it's a slightly uprated version of the usual Midjet specifications, just to put it more in close combat, let's say, with these GT4 cars. Just ahead, the Ginetta is the G55 spec of the car. It's got the straight 6 in the front of it. Makes a brilliant noise, unfortunately for the Ginetta owners, though not as good a noise as the Audi R8 V10, of which there are 2 in the field. Lyle Schofield, though, in this opening lap, disappearing with a purple Sector 2, 53.3, 1.7 seconds quicker just in that middle sector of the cars behind. Second place, Patrick Michellier. It's those 2 in their own class, so they're in what is known as the UCTC class. And then the rest of the cars are in the S4 class, which is for all the GT4 spec machines. Like we say, Chloe Hellery at the back there is unfortunately down on power to the other cars in front. But with the downforce and the minuscule weight of that machine, it's very likely that Chloe will be able to keep up through the twisty parts of the circuit. First lap in the books then. You can see that lovely Ginetta very low to the ground at the front. The 555, driven by Francois Denis. Had a bit of a slower third sector on that lap and has lost the Audis a little bit. We'll hope to catch back up, but the Porsche going well in the opening lap there. Jules Donchieu still has the Audis in his mirrors, though. And the 2 Audis are on very similar pace right now, actually almost identical first sectors from the 2 R8s. Just holding station at the minute. It may only be a 25-minute race, as that is definitely outside of track limits, Marine. The Audi cutting way across down at turn 9 there, but we had another race this morning in the European Endurance Prototype Cup, and there were so many track limits warnings throughout the race that it won't be of huge surprise to see some of the drivers here maybe just getting a warning here. They're not going to need to push as much as the prototype drivers did earlier on in the day. And right now we have on screen the 444 Audi. Just listen to it make its way by. That lovely V10 song down the back straight there towards turn 16. And there is Lyle Schofield, our race leader. Purple first lap of the race. And now purple second lap. 2:02.7. 2:08.6 for Patrick Michellier. So some near 6 seconds for Lyle Schofield last time round. And we saw this back at Mugello a couple of rounds ago, back in April though, so it feels like a long time ago now, where Lyle was absolutely wringing the neck of the Ferrari. And it was great to see him doing so because the body language of the car and the way it was moving around was fantastic. But even then you can see, look, Patrick Michellier, he's not exactly hanging about. He's still putting in some decent lap times. And he's still pushing the car as well. You can see in the way it's behaving mid-corner that it is definitely not a car that's being driven in a relaxed manner, that's safe to say. Lovely to see it running in the traditional Scuderia Rosso colours, with the number 73 number board alongside. Like I said at the top of the broadcast, though, it's a shame not to see some of the 296 challenge cars out there. I know that SR&R in particular have got a couple of them now, actually. They have, I think, 3 of these 488 challenge cars that we saw in Italy a few months ago. Just like this one that we have on screen now. But CMR also have one of the 296 challenge cars, but they are cars that are in very high demand, and some of the very top Ferrari-owned events require those cars, so maybe just the switch in duties means that it's back to the 488 this weekend. Cars that are designed to drive very similarly to one another. At the end of the day, they are based on very similar platform. Different engines, of course. The 488 was the last Ferrari of this shape to have the V8 engine in it with the twin turbochargers. The later 296 had the V6 with twin turbochargers. Makes a very strange noise, does the 296, so audibly a lot of people would agree the 488 is the better machine. We've had a track limits report from turn 5 for Patrick McEllier, actually, the driver that we watched just now. Car number 73 has cut the corner a little bit too much, just at this very corner that he's going into now. It might have been on the exit, though, in fairness. He's a bit wide of the mark there. And, yeah, now he's behaving himself, as you can see. Nowhere near either of the curbs on that circulation. There is Lyle Schofield, making a great noise. You can hear him still having to lift, though, through turn 10 before he gets on to the power down towards 11 and 12. Hard onto the brakes he goes into turn 12. It's pretty much a 90-degree left-hander, but all the cars we've seen going through there this weekend have been able to carry such great speed into there. And this Ferrari Challenge car is one of the most stable platforms that Ferrari have built with all their challenge machinery. It's often not built to a specific class like GT4 or GT3s. It's in a bit of a middle ground that a lot of manufacturers go for, which is known as a sort of a cup car. Porsche started it a long time ago with the Porsche Cup machines, and then it became pretty much known as that sort of category. There is Patrick McEllier making his way down towards turn 16, and then this trio of cars here, the GT4s all together. Jules Donciu, Pierre Arau, and Marine Pedou. Trying not to overwhelm one another, as Pierre Arau very, very confident on the brakes there. Guess it stopped, actually, on the apex. Wow, it looked like he came from a mile back there. Still side by side on the exit, though. Little bit of curb on the left-hand side. But Pierre absolutely sent it down the inside into turn 16. And now is all over the back of the Porsche. The Audi, a much wider car, but both of these machines from the same category of racing car. Porsche just able to cut underneath on the exit. And each time that Pierre goes for these late braking moves, Jules is just ready to capitalise on the exit of the corner. And he made him look a little bit silly there in that turn 1 undertake. Or well, it's not necessarily an undercut. I was going to correct myself there to undercut, but that's a pit stop strategy. The move is a cut back. But right now, Donciu holds on to the lead in the UCS4 class. We still have the 555 of Francois Denis circulating as well. Chloe Hellery still running in 7th place. The Midjet Super T just did its fastest lap of the race as well, so Chloe definitely putting that car through its paces and continuing to race on at full chat. We've had track limits reported at turn 1 for Pierre Arau, and yeah, that was down to the fact that Arau went very late on the brakes into turn 1 and then went straight on. Still Lyle Schofield leading the race. Patrick McEllier now, well, we're waiting to see what the gap is actually. Lyle has been through into turn 1 already. And across the line now should go Patrick McEllier. The gap is 18 seconds. Lyle Schofield disappearing up the road. And Perdue has seen the move of Arau ahead and says, oh, I quite fancy that actually. And Marin looking down the inside into turn 16. Doesn't go for it this time round, but the two Audi R8s now potentially about to have a scrap here. But I know that Pierre Arau won't want that because he wants to try and stick with that Porsche in front of them and try and go chasing after it once more. Looks like Pierre has, since the last lap where he had that drama, he's lost a bit of confidence in his turn 1. And now, suddenly, Marin all over the back of fellow R8 driver. Let's see what it's like as they head now into turn 5 once again. They make such a great sound, do those R8s. Looks like the right rear brake light of Perdue's car has started to sort of fall down into the bodywork slightly. There's not necessarily been any contact or anything to warrant that, but maybe just the R8 gradually falling apart. Still, they head out of turn 10. And down the back straight they go towards turn 12. Could this be the moment? I don't think we're going to see a move here from the 444. I think they're just going to wait for the main back straight to turn 16 at the end of the lap. You get a lovely view there of this fantastically flowing circuit as, oh, Perdue has gone a bit deep into the right hander there at turn 14. Does get a good run on the exit of 15 though, and should be nicely in the slipstream before the hairpin at the bottom. The GT4 cars do benefit quite a lot from slipstream. They've got large wings, splitters and all sorts. Pierre Arau, I think, is going to go for it again here. The Audi is a later GT4 car, so has a little bit more straight line potency. Gets it stopped on the apex, parks it, but back down the inside goes Donsieu. Tries to cut back across, and Pierre hop, skips and jumps over the curb. Runs slightly wide, and now as they come back into view, the three of them are driving one 12-wheeled GT4 car. The two R8s absolutely together. And this time it's Perdue down the inside, hoping to get it stopped for turn 1. Looked like it was going deep then, did that R8. Looked a little bit too hot into the first corner, but no. Fantastic entertainment from these three GT4 cars together. The Porsche, just as good as any other. This is one of the oldest versions of the Porsche Cayman GT4, based on the 981 iteration of the car, but I tell you, with a slight deficit of power, it is still just as good in all the twisty sections of the circuit. It's always been a fantastic package of a race car. As back down the inside looks Perdue. Marin is looking very potent here and really wants to try and have a go. I think knowing that if they wait too long, then obviously car behind will try and make a move. Can't get caught out here. Ooh, a little bit of oversteer on the exit there for Jules Donsieu. He's going to have to hold on to this as best he can now as they head down towards turn 12. This is where the Audi's going to be strong. And Perdue looking down the inside already. Tries to go later on the brakes, but look at that Porsche go on the brakes. I think the cameraman fell over or something then. Porsche manages to hold onto it round the outside at turn 12, down the inside at turn 13. And Pierre Arau has a front row seat for this. He's just had a front row seat for the move that he should have made. And now, this is where the Audis will come on strong once again. The Porsche becoming a bit of a sitting duck at this point. And there you can see the straight line speed difference. Look at that. Now, is Perdue going to be ahead before the braking zone? Yes. Slotting back in front of the Porsche. Pierre Arau wants a bit of that as well. Both of the Audis going through, but look at that. Oh no, Perdue's had a spin in the hairpin. And all that hard work over the last 2 laps has been completely undone. And Jules Donciu has gone through laughing all the way to the bank in his Porsche. There is the Midjet Super T of Chloe Hellery. Sure, running 7th out of 7, but still putting in a fantastic showing in this wonderful little car. Like I said earlier, and Perdue is around again. That's on the exit of turn 1. And Marin loses a place actually to the Ginetta of Francois Denis. Francois going through down the inside, says thanks very much. How are you today? See you later. And the Ginetta moves up a spot into 5th after just doing as well his fastest lap of the race. I don't know if Perdue's got a problem there actually, but the R8 was going very wide again into turn 5. Seems to be left-handers where the problem persisted, because the initial spin was down at turn 16, then turn 1, both of them left-handers, and then a seeming issue at turn 5. Turn 9 is navigated fine, albeit off the track. Heading round 10, and again, there's definitely something about the right rear of that Audi. Just the right rear light is not quite in place, as, well, the rest of the car is in place off the circuit. Marine Perdue not having the smoothest of rides, it seems, for this last lap or so. Hoping to get it back together for the final 7 minutes and 3/4 of this race. This is the first of 2 races in this championship that we will have today. At 6:25 local time, and typically, just as I look away again, Perdue facing the wrong way. And needs to get going quickly, actually, because the number 88 car will be around the corner shortly. Nice 3-point turn there by Marine Perdue. And gets going again. But now back down the back straight towards turn 16 after that recovery. After some fantastic moves earlier, it seems like the race has gone, unfortunately, downhill from there with whatever issue there is on the right rear of the Audi. Seems like it's a bit of a theme, actually. As we look at the back of Patrick McEllier's car, the right rear brake light isn't working. Then on to the brakes. He goes into turn 12. That lovely back drop again there. Turns 14 and 15 looking as wonderful as ever. You can see now the Ferrari 488 Challenge really stretching its legs down the back straight. So with 5 minutes and 3/4 left to go, this battle's still going on here between Pierre Arau and the Porsche of Jules Donciu. Jules has absorbed everything that's been thrown at him in this race so far to make sure that none of these Audis get by. In fact, he's done his best lap of the race on that last lap, a 2 minutes 12.7. Hoping to stay in front of the delightfully painted number 64. It gives him a warning on his way through, actually, does Pierre. Looks down the inside as he gets onto the brakes with a flash of the lights. Really, once again, parking it on the apex. And Donciu again around the outside says, how many times are we going to do this? And again, Pierre Arau dances across the gravel on the inside. The Audi looking like the much more racy car for sure, but it's not to his own benefit, really. He keeps going deep on the brakes. He's down the inside again as turn 1 and as late on the brakes as he dares. And Donsu, well, calmly round the outside says, no thank you. We've had a third infraction for track limits for car 57, actually, which is Jules Donsu. So he's going to have a 5-second penalty as a result of that. And as long as Pierre stays within 5 seconds, then that's that. And Pierre will get a podium from this race. Doesn't have to overdo it, doesn't have to overly risk anything. And the two of them are still scrapping away. It looks like Donsu is the much more confident of the two right now. With that exit out of turn 9, very spirited departure from there. And he's actually opened up a bit of a gap now over Pierre Aragon, and if he can continue to do that over the next few laps, then might actually be able to outdo that 5-second penalty. And there was a bit of a moment there for Pierre going into the final corner. So I think he's actually opened up the gap even more so. Looked like a little bit of brake dust or something coming off the Porsche for a moment there. Obviously, as they push these cars, even just through 25 minutes, knowing that it's a short race, they'll push the cars as hard as they can all the way through. There's no sort of big picture, long-term thinking in a race like this where they look after the car aggressively. You know, they really dial it back too much. But right now, it is Lyle Schofield continuing to lead the race. 12.9 seconds clear. Now, the gap was 18 seconds much earlier in the race, but I wonder if Lyle's just been told to chill it out a little bit. Just listening to the revs there, it certainly sounds like he's short shifting it a little bit. Not sure if, despite me just saying about it, it's not about looking after the car in terms of the long run. Wonder whether if he's dialing it back now for, well, he doesn't even have to dial it back much to save a lap. But the 488 challenge is certainly not at full potency down that straight. And Michelier is now just 12.5 seconds back. You can see him in the background there. The gap is now 2/3 of what it was. And it's still Donsu leading the way in the UCS4 class ahead of Pierre Aragon. There is Marine Pidou continuing on with that brake light definitely out of place. There's definitely a sticker or something over it, but there's yeah, it's definitely dislodged in a weird way. But that is the car that all of them are chasing in the UCS4 class, the number 57 Porsche Cayman. You can see right now Pierre Aragon just behind, and it's not a 5-second gap, Pierre will be happy to know. It's about 1.6 seconds at present. And as they head onto the brakes, Pierre a lot more subtle that time than he was in previous laps, trying to throw it past Donsu. I think if he's been told now that the car ahead has a penalty, he knows that he doesn't have to push too hard to get this one to work. Just needs to stay in his wheel tracks and complete the race from there. Quite literally amplifying what he's got written and painted all over the side of the car with the whole Roadrunner theme. He is chasing the Roadrunner quite literally now as Wile E. Coyote. Just 10 seconds left on the clock then here at Motorland Aragon in the first Ultimate GT Sprint Cup race of the weekend. We have another one later on this evening at 6:25. And this will actually be the end of our racing action for a little bit before we have qualifying from Ligier Formula Cup and then the Kennel GT Endurance Cup qualifying as well a little bit later. There is Chloe Hallyday making her way around the final corners to start the final lap, but the race winner is Lyle Schofield, taking the victory in the 353 Ferrari. Very well done to Lyle, taking a dominant victory, but only 8 seconds in the end actually. Patrick McEllier closing down by a few seconds a lap in the later stages, those two in the UCTC category. And next up across the line, after the run down the back straight, will be Jules Doncieux. There is Marine Pidou, just making their way round to the back straight now. Just heard the Audi scream its way past down the back straight, and I'd be concerned actually for Pierre Arau that he isn't going to be within 5 seconds of the car ahead. He seems to be slowing on this final lap. We'll check what it is across the line, because Jules Doncieux is going to get a penalty. He's crossed the line, takes the win. And I don't know if Pierre was within 5 seconds. He was not. It was 5.5 seconds. So as much as Pierre Arau has crossed the line and flashed the lights, with the penalty, Jules Doncieux holds on to the win. Pierre Arau loses out. Still finishes second, so it's still a class podium. But misses out by half a second. Francois Denis finishing next up in the Ginetta. Marine Pidou having a couple of spins late on in that race, which was a huge shame to see, because the effort to get those overtakes done on both the other Audi and the Porsche were fantastic. It was a lovely scrap, but Pierre Arau has just missed out on the class win. There is Marine across the line, taking 6th place overall. Chloe Hallyday will be the final car to cross the line. Just about to come through the last corner now, actually. And Chloe crosses the line to complete our field of 7 cars. Just off her fastest lap of the race on that final lap as well, Chloe, but still holding on to her ultimate pace until the very end of that one. And now Lyle Schofield will make his way into the pit lane. Just comes around the final corner now to crawl up to the top 3 boards that will be prepared for them in the pit lane. And another brilliant win by Lyle Schofield and his squad. And next up over to the left-hand side will be Patrick McEllier. Lyle gets some help getting out of the car. Move the belts and everything out of the way. And a congratulations to him. A little shrug of the shoulders. That was a nice drive. He enjoyed himself out there. And ticks off another victory in his campaign this season. Fantastic car to be able to just throw around, isn't it? The 488 Challenge. You can hear there the pit lane sirens. And as you can see, Lyle delighted to see Claire again with another race victory to his name. We'll hand down to Claire.
Yeah, well, Lyle, I just asked how you were. You said, fine. Was it easy? Well, how was it?
Well, once I made the gap, I just, managed it. And then started saving tires, fuel for next race. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting one to watch. Mostly because you seemed so in command of it? Once you obviously started in front, you then just led it from there, and no one seemed to touch you.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, but yeah.
It's hard to do an interview when nothing really happened because you were too good.
Yeah, you're just managing the pace, that's it.
What was the track like? Is it fun out there?
Yeah, pretty fun. First time here, so every time I'm out there, it's like learning new stuff, so it's fun.
Another win to your name as well. It's important at this time in the championship, 2 rounds left.
Yeah, totally. This is an important round, so let's see how it goes for the next round. So, yeah.
He's usually more chatty than this. He seems excited. Go on then, go and have fun, and we'll speak to you later. I'm sure we'll speak to him again when he wins. We are going to take a short break from racing. We're going to go qualifying next for the Ligier Formula Cup, single-seaters. So do make sure you join us. We'll be on all of the different YouTube channels, of course, and you can watch it in French if you speak French. So do join us then. I'll get my teeth in, and we'll see you soon.
Être un bon traiteur, c'est être intransigeant sur la qualité. On ne fait du bon qu'avec le meilleur. C'est être impitoyable sur les recettes. Quand c'est bon, il n'y a rien à ajouter, rien à enlever. C'est être irréprochable sur le goût. Il faut prendre du plaisir pour en donner. Voilà, pour être un bon traiteur, il faut être intraitable.
Parfaitement intraitable.